To gain a comprehensive understanding of the ancient history of the land known as Israel, it is essential to immerse oneself in the study of the Bible. It serves as a primary source for unraveling the multifaceted aspects of the region's history, from the lives of its earliest inhabitants to the development of religious traditions and the geopolitical events that have left an indelible mark on this land. The Bible remains a fundamental resource for those seeking a deep and comprehensive understanding of the historical roots of Israel. The Old Testament, in particular, is a treasure trove of narratives, events, and records that provide insight into the earliest civilizations that inhabited what is now modern-day Israel. These ancient texts offer a window into the lives, customs, and beliefs of the people who dwelled in this land centuries ago. The Old Testament contains a rich collection of stories and historical accounts that trace the origins of various tribes and settlements in the region. It explores the lives of significant figures such as Abraham, Moses, and King David, who were instrumental in shaping the history of ancient Israel. Transitioning from the ancient history of Israel to the recent attack that occurred on October 7, 2023, thrust Israel into a complex and turbulent present marked by geopolitical tensions and ongoing conflicts. During the closing of the Sukkot festival, Israel faced an unexpected, widespread attack by Hamas, militants from the air, sea, and ground. Thousands of missiles from Gaza rained down on Israel, causing significant destruction and casualties. Armed Hamas fighters, including some on motorcycles, breached borders, infiltrated cities, and attacked civilians. The assault extended to the sea, with militants in motorboats engaging in clashes with Israeli forces, while others descended from the sky using paragliders. The Hamas attack coincided with the 50th anniversary of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, which pitted Israel against Egypt and Syria. Hamas, a Palestinian militant group, was reported to have fired at least 5,000 rockets, challenging the effectiveness of Israel's advanced anti-rocket system, known as the Iron Dome. The consequences were tragic, with a high number of civilian casualties on both sides. Israel's demographic makeup is unique and plays a critical role in understanding its internal dynamics. The nation's population is approximately 9 million, and among them, Jews make up the majority, at roughly 74%, while Arabs constitute around 20%. This delicate balance is further skewed in the disputed territories where Palestinians are the majority, accounting for approximately 85% and officially 15% Jews, which is a doubtful number since you can see signs in Palestine that say, if you are a Jew, you would be killed. Many of the ultra-Orthodox Jews don't even recognize the state of Israel because they believe God is the one who must create Israel and not the politicians. Israel's standing on the global stage is marked by its impressive academic achievements and technological advancements. The nation boasts one of the highest concentrations of academics per capita. It is a hub for innovation, with numerous technological breakthroughs to its name. Israel has also attracted a substantial number of Russian and Ukrainian immigrants. This influx can be attributed in part to a policy in the 1990s that welcomed individuals with Jewish ancestry, even if their connection was as distant as a single grandparent. The historical context of Israel is rich and multifaceted. It was once part of the Roman Empire and later occupied by Persians and Arabs. In the year 70 AD, a significant uprising against the Roman Empire unfolded, resulting in the tragic loss of up to 1 million Jewish lives. This staggering number constituted a substantial portion of the Jewish population residing in Israel during that era, possibly accounting for nearly half. In 135 AD, a subsequent rebellion occurred, with a substantial number of Jews losing their lives. In response, the Romans imposed strict measures, including a ban on Jewish access within 40 kilometers of Jerusalem. Arab forces marked another chapter, characterized by conflicts with the Crusaders, who occasionally managed to capture and resist the Arab advances. Later, the Ottoman Empire ruled over the region, with the 16th century representing a peak period for the development of Palestine. During this time, the region faced the devastating consequences of extensive deforestation by the Turks, resulting in massive soil erosion. The ancient irrigation systems dating back to Roman times crumbled, and the land lost its fertility. This prompted a shift toward livestock farming, which in turn led to the devastation of any remaining vegetation, including roots. The wind-blown sand contributed to the transformation of the land of milk and honey into a desert. In the 19th century, Palestine was characterized as a backward, undeveloped, and impoverished province of the disintegrating Ottoman Empire. The lack of infrastructure was striking. For instance, even the formidable Napoleon faced obstacles moving his cannons through the region due to the absence of suitable routes. At that time, covering just 50 kilometers would require a strenuous journey of 9 hours, and the only available train was slower than a horse. This state of affairs was poignantly described by Mark Twain in 1867 during his visit to the region. He described the area as a desolate country with rich soil overrun by weeds, marked by a silent, mournful expanse and a scarcity of human presence. The return of Jews to this land is a critical part of its history. By 1794, Russia had gained control of significant territories with substantial Jewish populations, as the third of the world's Jews in the 19th century lived under Tsarist Russia's rule. Pogroms against Jews in Russia began in 1871, leading to a wave of Jewish migration to Palestine. Of course, this was the norm. In that day, most of European states had similar discriminating policies against the Jews. The national consciousness of these Jewish migrants was influenced by a figure named Judah Alkali, a Jewish individual from Sarajevo. Alkali arrived in Zemun, Serbia, where he immersed himself in the study of the Serbian uprising against the Ottoman Empire. His experiences led him to believe that the Serbian national idea could serve as an inspiration for Jews, igniting similar aspirations for their own national consciousness. After relocating to Budapest, Alkali's right-hand associate had a son, and that son was none other than Theodor Herzl, who is widely acknowledged as the pioneer and founding figure of Zionism, which is the movement for the self-determination and statehood for the Jewish people in their ancestral homeland, the land of Israel. The first Jews arrived in Palestine in 1872, just a year after the Russian pogroms began. They established the first Jewish communities in the region. By the early 20th century, there were already 20 such communities. These early Jewish settlers regarded Palestine as the promised land, and they began acquiring land from the Arab population. Notably, the Rothschild family was among the most significant donors during this period. Initially, the Arab population was receptive to these Jewish migrants and the capital they brought with them. They sold land that they considered worthless to the Jews, but the Jewish immigrants saw it as invaluable. Despite returning to a barren land filled with swamps and malaria, the Jewish immigrants were determined to rebuild their homeland. They implemented modern agricultural techniques, including terracing, crop rotation, and irrigation, to develop the land and enhance productivity. As the Jewish population continued to grow, so did tensions with the Arab population. The situation was marked by a series of conflicts, most of which were won by the Jewish community. By 1920, when the British took control of the area, there were already 50 Jewish communities in Palestine. In 1922, the British took control of the entirety of Palestine. This period led to significant developments during World War II, with the Jerusalem Mufti collaborating with the Nazi regime. This cooperation resulted in deadly actions by the Mufti's militias against Jewish communities in Palestine. Simultaneously, the Holocaust unfolded in Europe, leading to the tragic loss of millions of Jewish lives. In the wake of these tragedies, the need for a Jewish state gained momentum, with various suggestions such as Uganda, and Madagascar considered before ultimately selecting Palestine as the destination. The USSR supported this decision, as there were many Russian Jews with communist leanings, believing it would extend their sphere of influence in the region. From 1919 to 1947, both sides in the Israeli-Arab conflict committed acts of violence, including attacks on each other and on British authorities. The Mufti's militias and the Jewish paramilitary organization known as Irgun were among the most extreme actors in these hostilities, with the latter famously emphasizing their unwavering commitment to their cause, symbolized by their motto, "Our weapon is our readiness to die." The year 1947 was a turning point, as the United Nations approved a plan to partition Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. We can attribute the primary responsibility for this conflict to the British, a recurring theme in conflicts worldwide. Whether we look at the issues between Pakistan and India, India and China, or even conflicts like Nagorno-Karabakh involving Azerbaijan and Armenia, there's often a trace back to British influence. It's as if, when your neighbor attacks, you can suspect the Englishman was recently involved in his affairs. In this context, the British played a dual role. They manipulated the Arabs, encouraging them to revolt against the Ottoman Empire, and simultaneously, they made promises to the Jewish population, notably through the Balfour Declaration, in support of the establishment of a Jewish state. This manipulation and dual engagement had a profound impact on the evolving dynamics in the region. In 1948, the Arab-Israeli War, also known as the First Arab-Israeli War, began following the end of the British mandate for Palestine on May 14, 1948. Israel declared independence on the same day, and a coalition of Arab states entered British Palestine on May 15. Israel emerged victorious in this war, and it had a profound impact on the Middle East. Approximately 700,000 Palestinian Arabs fled or were expelled from their homes, leading to the creation of Palestinian refugees in an event referred to as the Nakba, or the catastrophe. Simultaneously, a similar number of Jews immigrated to Israel, with around 260,000 coming from surrounding Arab states. In 1967, the same Arab states once again attacked Israel, resulting in the Six-Day War. Israel achieved significant territorial gains in this conflict, acquiring land that it previously did not control. Egypt and Syria attempted another attack in 1973, known as the Yom Kippur War, but were defeated once again. The aftermath of this war led to the Camp David Accords in 1978. In a historic move, Israel returned the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt, and Egypt became the first Arab country to officially recognize Israel. These diplomatic developments marked a shift in the regional landscape and contributed to the ongoing complexities of the Israeli-Arab conflict.